Arias. I'm Raheem. I'm a senior. I've been at Watkinson for 7 years now.
I'm Zoe. I'm a junior. I've been at Watkinson for 3 years now.
I'm Annabelle. I'm a sophomore, and this is my second year.
I'm Elijah. I'm a freshman, and this is my second year here.
I'm Julia. I'm in 7th grade, and this is my second year.
Okay. Let's just jump right into it, and but I would also ask the students to maybe talk about something that you're really excited about at Watkinson with your work and some of the things you're involved in. But go ahead, I'll open it up to the floor here. Yes.
So when you see kids, if you're local in your own towns, what do you notice that's different from their experience in public school versus you being here, if that applies to any of you? Go ahead, Zoe.
I used to go to Avon Public Schools, and not to speak down on them, I would never do that, but what I notice I see on social media or even in person sometimes, the students that I used to go to school with that still go to those schools, there's less of an environment that encourages pursuing your passions with success, and that's something that I really appreciate that I think only Watkinson, at least in my general area, provides. There are just so many opportunities for whatever you want to go into, and I think that's really allowing me to thrive as a student, as a person, as an actor and a writer too, so I think that really helps me versus as if I were to go to Avon High School.
Thank you.
Yeah, I live right in Hartford. I think what's special, and I noticed over my 7 years, just the connection that you have between the teachers, so going along with what Zoe was saying. Teachers really get to know you, so they really try to help you in whatever endeavors that you choose to go into. Lately, I've been really into architecture, and almost all my teachers know that I'm invested in this and looking to go into this for college. And they've been really helping me build my portfolio, just looking to different events that's going on to help me build more perspective about that. I think that's really special and unique to Watkinson.
What extracurricular activities do you guys all do? Just want to go down the line and say your favorite clubs or sports or whatever it is that you do after school?
So I am on the soccer team, and outside of school, I like really anything in the performing arts or creative area, like acting, drawing, singing, and all that.
Yeah, speak up a little bit.
So I'm in Model United Nations, which is a club, upper school club that takes place here, and that we meet on Fridays during club time. And I also do gymnastics outside of school. So what I really like about Watkinson is how they allow me to still be able to pursue my sport outside of school and still be able to do a club inside of school.
So, like Elijah mentioned, we have club time at Watkinson for the upper schoolers, which is right before lunch. And so that's a time for clubs to meet, and after school is the activities. So I'm in Young Poets Conference, which is a club that Zoe runs, and Young Women's Empowerment. And after school, I'm doing the play right now.
As Annabelle said, I founded and I now run Young Poets Conference. After school, I do theater year-round. I'm also in Young Women's Empowerment and Improvisation, which is the improvisational club for theater.
I play soccer right now. I'm also in the Titans, which is an affinity group for colored men on campus. So basically the high schoolers, we mentor the middle schoolers and just talk to them about any issues that they have going on as a young man of color, or just anything that they have, trouble, like if they have any, concerns at school or anything they just want to talk about.
I know the school, there's a lot of people from different areas. How do you, on a social aspect, maybe after school, how do you interact with maybe friends that, are going to be in different parts of the state? How does that work?
I think the extracurriculars are really where people have a chance to really bond and come together. I've met so many people from all over the state, from different countries. We have a lot of international students that I've been able to bond with and make friendships, really tight friendships with those people because we share common interests. And because it is a somewhat small school, you really spend a lot of time with these people, and that really fosters sincere relationships.
She said it all.
Did some of you talk about retreats? He said from the corner.
So every year the class goes on a retreat around the beginning of the year. For example, the sophomores went to Boston. And I think this really helps with like bonding because it happens like right in the beginning of the year within like 2 or 3 weeks. And you're just forced to step out of your comfort zone and talk to new people, maybe new students that you don't know. And I think it really helps with the bonding because you learn a lot about all the other students and you get to know everybody. And it sets the year on the right foot.
Yeah, to add on to that, last year in 8th grade we went to Washington DC and that was my first year here. So I didn't really know anyone coming here, like at all. And I think that retreat, I almost knew everyone in the grade and had a good sense of who they were. And it made me like step out of my comfort zone and I had more friends because of that. And this year, as I'm in 9th grade, we went to, we did a global Hartford trip, so we stayed here and we got to explore different parts of Hartford. And it gave me a chance to meet all the new kids who came into 9th grade this year. So I've made a lot of new friendships from the retreats.
Yeah, they're a really good thing because typically going into the retreats, you don't know many people in your class, you may not feel entirely comfortable, but coming back, you've gotten a chance to learn more about your classmates and possibly make more friends, and you really just feel more comfortable that you know a bit more about your classmates.
And I think it's cool too that, you know, even if, you know, as a senior, most of our class is still the same. So it's just, again, another opportunity to just hang out with people who you may not be able to see as often just because they live far away. But it was just a cool, you know, chance just to hang out with your friends and just, you know, meet some other kids too that you might not be as close with and you just find out more about them as well.
How much homework do you guys get?
An average amount. It kind of fluctuates, but it's not too much, but it's enough to make sure we have our skills set for each class. We have study halls. Some kids have 1, some have 2. And we have club time. We have free club time. We use that to work generally, so it's really manageable.
Yeah, I feel that.
Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I feel that the homework, it's not just busy work, it's work that is really important, that they don't just give you homework to do it, they give you the work that you need to get better at that certain subject that you're working in. And I have a study hall this year which really helps me get all my work done, so I have time for after school activities.
And being in middle school, they give you a pretty good amount. Like if you're good at managing your time, then it won't be a problem. So like you really need to be organized to be able to do well on your homework.
Also, I think that compared to some people I've heard in public schools, it's like 4 hours a night. But this is really manageable, and if you're having an issue with it, you can just talk to your teacher, really. Like, they're so understanding, and if you're having an issue, you can always come to them.
Yes, sir.
Oh, yeah. And that was the kind of the lead question I was going to ask, you know, is how much homework, but you're all in different areas, I assume, and so could you maybe just describe a little bit about the type of homework you might be doing? You don't have to go into
That's a
great
great
detail,
question.
but just, you know, maybe an example of some homework that you did that, just to show off kind of what you're doing there.
I'll go, I guess. I do, each year I've taken like, I'll just zoom in on this I guess, I do like a performance studies or something with the arts class, because that's what I'm really interested in. And generally with those classes, just to give an example, we have more hands-on projects generally, so if you break down your time at the beginning, it's manageable and you get really invested in the work. So I have a project right now, I'm in CAP Seminar, which is a diploma program, and we're working on a project called Book of the Self, and you just take a book and you alter it, and you throw in everything about your life in any way you want. So it's really, because that homework assignment is so adaptable to your own perspective, that's one of the kinds of things that I really enjoy getting assigned, so it's really good.
For me, right now, I'm taking an elective called creative writing, and so one of the homework assignments would be to write a story based on a certain prompt. And in class, when we come to class, we print a copy for everybody in the class, usually about like 12 kids, I think. And we workshop it, so everybody reads it and gives us feedback. And then our homework for the next night would be to go home and revise it and edit it.
So for me, this is my first year taking introduction to acting, and right now we are working on different scenes with one partner, and so right now we're just working on putting our emotion into our lines. So for homework, we would be just trying to memorize lines in different ways and how to memorize it. So it's not too much, but it's a good amount to help you with school.
For me, my classwork and homework for almost any class involves a lot of writing. Whether it's like writing a script for performance studies, or writing a conclusion for science, or perhaps writing a review in writing class. We do a lot of writing in all of our classes, which is a good thing because then you get good at it. You get really good at the skill. So I actually am really thankful for that, and I do enjoy writing. So it's one of the things I look forward to. So.
I'm just going to jump in there for a quick second to say that writing, we're very deliberate in that being one of the most important skills for all of our graduates. So 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, and then again in 9th, there's a standalone class just for writing. And then there's, because of the size, our teachers are able to assign a lot of writing and then hand back written responses with probably a good amount of notes, I would think you would imagine, or you would agree. And I would just say that my daughter, who's a sophomore in college, having gone through Watkinson, she has said to me that she feels more prepared than her roommates and her classmates. And some professors have told her that as well. So, phew, right? I feel that Watkinson's done a great job preparing our students for writing and public speaking. So communication, problem solving, critical thinking, and collaboration are some really key skills for life that we want to incorporate through all of our classwork. So, I'll start.
Can
Okay.
I just say, I'm Jan Klein, I'm a member of the Board of Trustees, and a lot of you were here when we all introduced ourselves before, but a lot weren't. I mentioned the fact that my daughter, Jordan, graduated in '06, and as a CAP student, and she's now a museum exhibit designer, an independent designer in Philadelphia, and I perked up when you said that you are still doing the Book of Self.
Yeah.
Because Jordan did a Book of Self, which she's now 30 years old, and she carries that book around with her still. It is part of who she is, and she created that at Watkinson, and it has traveled with her through the years.
Thanks, Jan. Yeah. Yes, right behind.
For those of you who have 1 or 2 years, I was just wondering, because this is the first time I hear about the block schedule. So how easy was it for you to transition from, I guess, what the standard schedule is to a block one, and having classes, every other day as opposed to every day?
I'll start by saying that I really like the block schedule because, it's not the same classes every day, and they're 80-minute blocks, so you have a lot of time with your teacher to go over a certain subject. When I first came here, it takes maybe a week or so to adjust to it, and then it's really not that bad. I really liked it, and it really helped me with my classes because I like having more time, because at public school I only had 30 to 40 minutes of a block, and I didn't really learn that much, but with this block schedule I can learn a lot in 80 minutes. Yeah, I agree with that. I think it took me a little while to adjust, maybe a month or so. But I think it's really helpful in the end because personally I don't work best at right after lunch or last thing. So it's great because the blocks alternate. So sometimes I'll have math last block, sometimes I'll have it in the morning. And that really works for me because first of all, I get a different time of day, and also you have longer to do your homework because it's not the next day.
Yeah, I'd have to agree because I really appreciate the block schedule and the way it works. Like Annabelle said, the order of the blocks kind of shift throughout the week. Just for me, at my old school, I didn't like how I was I have math first thing in the morning. I can't deal with that all the time. So I'd get to school and be I don't have math, but I have study hall. And it's just that, it's a little surprising. It's really nice because you don't go in it's fun. You don't go in expecting the same routine, strict, robotic kind of thing. You go in being able to have to be attentive to what time of day it is, like when you're gonna go to your next class, but it also gives a nice shift, and I like that.
For Elijah, Amanda, and Zoe, who didn't start in the middle school with sixth grade, how did you feel it was acclimating coming in as an eighth grader or as a freshman?
I didn't start in the middle school, I think.
No, that's what I'm saying, like, because you didn't start in the middle
Oh, okay.
school and you
Yeah,
came in
yeah.
as a freshman or an eighth grader
Yeah.
with, where there were a lot of relationships that were already built, it was harder to come in as a new student in those grades because there's the middle school region.
I'll start by saying, like, especially with the retreats, when we first get here, the retreats aren't in like May, they're it's the first few weeks that you come here, so the retreats really give you a time to get to know the new, to get to know kids that have already created relationships, and I feel like my friends now, they were really open when I came here, so it wasn't that, they had their friends and I couldn't, join them. They were really open and everyone's really open, so I like that. It wasn't hard coming here at all.
Yeah, I totally understand your question because I was worried about that too. But what I've noticed is that the middle school grades are a lot smaller, so by the time they're in 8th grade, they just want more students. They want some more people. So we get a ton of new students in 9th grade, and they're really open to making new friends and meeting new people. And I've never felt like excluded because of like somebody knowing somebody in middle school. Like we're all just one grade.
Yeah, it's not the kind of place where it's like I was here longer, so this is more my home than yours. It's we want more family members, we want more people to be with us. And when I came personally, everyone was really eager to get to know me and to invite me into their, friend circles, which is kind of the entire class because it's not the biggest school. But yeah, everyone's really sweet and really open to forming new relationships because that's the kind of environment Watkinson fosters. I think that's kind of the message that they hope for.
So it seems like many of you are in more of the performing arts. So what is your take on math and science here? Challenging, not a lot of homework, just homework?
I'll start by saying I really like the math classes because I'm in the accelerated math class, so I feel like it really challenges me. So even though I'm in the performance, introduction to acting, I really like the math and science classes because it's a lot of hands-on learning. Like in science right now, we're doing biome projects, and we all get a different topic, or we get to pick a way to present the topic. And in math, I feel like my teacher really breaks it down so we all understand what we're learning. So I really like the math and science classes here.
Yeah, you can go ahead.
Alright, so I think that they do offer, a lot of challenging courses in both math and science. Right now I'm taking calculus and physics. I do have like a few friends who went through math courses so fast, now they're taking it over at UHARP. So they do challenge the students a lot and do encourage you to look for more challenges if you feel that you're not looking, you're not satisfied enough for some reason with enough math. So I think that the Watkinson community and the teachers who are in the math and science department, they definitely do encourage a lot of the students to branch out as far as they can and look into whichever like interest in math or science that you have, and just continue to strengthen that.
I think the teachers really allow us to challenge ourselves, and they're promoting us to try our best and to try as hard as we can. So instead of like just being in 9th grade math, 10th grade math, like the routine, we are allowed to, we take a test to figure out what math we should be in. And that's really helpful because it allows us to figure out what would be the best fit for us instead of just everybody being in the same class.
One good thing, I'm in the CAP program and so is Raheem, I think he could attest to this too. To get in, you have to be able to hold your own in all areas of your academics. So I think that very concept kind of puts across this assertion that you have to be able to balance this passion that you have and other responsibilities that you carry in your other classes, even if they're not your favorites. I mean, I'm not very inclined towards science or math, but I did take accelerated courses and I pushed myself. And like I said, that shows that you have to learn how to balance your responsibilities, which I think is a really important quality thing too, and I know it's benefited me.
I think the math department here is really amazing because since you have such small classes, the teachers are able to focus on each student more personally as opposed to at my old school, the whole class would be taught one thing. If it was too easy or too hard for you, then that was kind of it. Like they could help you, but I mean there wasn't much they could do. But like here, if the class is going too slow, you get extra work to do. And if the class is going too fast, there are tons of people and teachers able to help you and give you so much help and use their time to, just everyone is really interested in making sure that you do your best in the class when it comes to math and the science.
I'll just add in administratively that in the admissions process, when we have a new student enrolling, we will test them, take a survey to find out which classes. And math is really, and language, foreign language, the only two subjects where we sort of track that way. So we would place a student in, you've heard about accelerated math classes. So Algebra 2, for example, has an accelerated class, and then they have a regular college prep class. And then some years we even have a smaller class which uses the college prep material but goes at an even slower pace with a smaller group. So we really want to put the kid in the right spot. And then in terms of science, we have a science teacher here. We have a lot of electives. In the last 4, 5, 6 years, we've added a number of electives. So, environmental science is 9th grade, biology is 10th, chemistry 11, physics 12. We do have that sort of traditional track. But then also we have anatomy and physiology, botany, forensics, zoology. These are courses that have been added to beef up. So there are students that are graduating from Watkinson with those 4 core courses, and then maybe they've doubled up in their junior or senior year. So they're really looking for STEM schools, and we've got some students going on to those schools. Also want to introduce Ryan Reese, who's the head of our upper school. He wasn't here this morning, he was teaching.
Well, it's nice to meet you. This is so great to see everybody here. One thing that a mentor earlier in my career taught me is that you're doing your job if you can just not show up and other people are doing it for you. And I really don't have anything to say. These guys are doing an incredible job. It's sort of like telling you about what the upper school and the middle school is like. And I'm here if you have other questions you'd like to talk about, but I'm not going to take up any more of their time. But it's really nice to see all of you here.
Are there any AP classes? Yes, so we don't offer AP here, but I guess if you are interested in certain areas, you can, do independent studies. So that's where you can meet with a teacher and find out a way to build up a certain course that's specified for yourself, and then you can look into certain areas that you want to learn more about.
For math, for the first 2 years, there's accelerated, and you can also do some classes at UHeart they provide, so, yeah.
And also, I should just mention, there is also the Global Studies program here. We're in CAP, so it's like the Creative Arts program, and I guess the counterpart to that would be the Global Studies program, which is more of history and just global stuff that's going on. So I don't know too much about it since I'm not in it, so I should mention it. Yeah.
When we were kind of sitting where we're sitting with our families, with your families, what are some of the reasons, I know that you shared what attracted you to Watkinson, but what were some of your first impressions that really grabbed your attention, and do you feel like those followed through, or did your love, obviously you're very passionate about Watkinson, did that evolve?
I'll start with saying, I feel like when I was visiting here and I shadowed a student, I felt that it was just so great to see how everyone was interacting with each other. Everyone just seemed so friendly, and I kind of thought I didn't really have that at my old school. Since there was so many kids, I didn't even know some of the students in my grade. But just visiting here and shadowing someone, I felt that I got a good understanding of who the people in my grade were going to be, and it just really attracted me that everyone was it was just a great environment to be in, and I really liked that.
Similar to what Elijah was saying is that I noticed that the grades are so small that everybody gets a chance to interact with everybody else. Coming from a school that would have 500 kids in the 9th grade, and now there's like 50 in the 9th grade. I really like that it provides you with enough people to interact with, but at the same time, there's so many different people.
Adding on to that, one thing that really attracted me to the school is how everyone is so friendly and understanding, and everyone sincerely cares for you. You just get that sense of welcoming when, with the teachers, with the classmates, everyone, like everything in this community, everything and everyone in the school just kind of makes you feel more comfortable and like you really belong.
Yes.
For those of you who have come here from your town public schools, obviously you've made friendships back from public school, and then you've transitioned to here. Do you still have those friendships back home, and are they accepting of your change to come to Watkinson?
Yeah, definitely. One of the reasons I came to Watkinson was because I had actually kind of a hard time finding very sincere friends in my old school, which is what I appreciate that I've been able to succeed at this school. But there were people at my old school that really helped me become who I am today, and so I still keep in touch with them. I live close to them, so that's the kind of friendships that are easier to access at in a personal amount of time. So yeah, it's pretty good.
Can anybody address the music program?
I do Voxwat, which is the a cappella group here at Watkinson. I'm not in chorus or anything like that, so I can't say too much, but I know that even though I'm not in chorus or don't have much formal training, the auditioning process was pretty easy. The music teacher, Mr. Wayman, is fantastic. I know that they're very talented in the arts, but I can't say too much about it because I don't have experience.
I was in music last year, and I really enjoyed it because I felt that since the class wasn't huge and the ensemble and the choir were combined, I really enjoyed how we got to interact with everyone, and it was really hands-on learning. And I think that we did, because there's two concerts a year, we have the winter and the spring, and I really enjoyed performing at both of those.
I'll jump in here a little bit to talk about music too. So the music program is super unique, right? It might be a challenge in some other places to put together a really quality product with such a small program, right? And especially, you show up on the first day of school and our music teacher, Mr. Wayman, is like, well, all right, I got a cello, I got a tuba, 2 flutes, and an oboe. Let's go, right? So I don't want to overhype him, but he is a mad scientist level genius of taking that and arranging his own stuff for whoever is in the room. And if you come to one of these concerts, it's unbelievable the sound that these kids can put together based on having such strange instrumentation. And he does a songwriting club. He goes above and beyond to help kids. Today he made an announcement, right, in terms of this competition that he's getting all these kids ready for. And if you think about it, he had 9 kids auditioning for a regional competition. And if you think about it, that's a huge percentage of the entire student body, right? And so it's really impressive and really cool. And he's a really charismatic, energetic guy who brings a lot just by himself to the program in terms of his expertise and excitement for it. And I wanted to go back to this AP question a little bit. That's a really deliberate choice, and one thing that's kind of a tagline in the book, and we have a little page on the APs, is the APs aren't challenging enough, right? It's sort of what we say. And I took some APs when I was in high school, and I'll never forget, we were going away for spring break, and my history teacher said, all right, read about World War II, we're going to take the test when you get back. Right? So it's that's the pace you have to go to, right? You have to get through a certain amount of material in order to take the national test date on the day when it's going to happen. And you have no agency as a teacher to cover certain things, to take certain time, to address questions that kids might have, to we might need to spend a week on this, but we could spend 6 weeks on reading 17 different perspectives about the build-up to the Civil War, right? And you just don't have that luxury if you're going by a federally, nationally dictated schedule, right? And so we really like our classes to be harder than an AP and forcing kids to come up with their own ideas and theses and opinions about history or about whatever the subject matter is, right? As opposed to just telling them, well, this is the like standard idea about whatever the concept is, and like you might have a different opinion, but like we'll have to worry about that when you go to college, right? So it's a very deliberate choice where a lot of our stuff is student-centered, it's inquiry-based, and we like to develop perspective and critical thinking skills as opposed to just getting through content. So all of our classes are much deeper as opposed to broader. So
Just to add to that, there's something else I think that's important to say about APs and us, which is that we're living through a time now in the last 25 or 30 years or so, where in education we're increasingly at a time when teachers are not trusted. Teachers are not trusted to look out at their class and make professional decisions based on their best professional judgment about what those kids need. And so an AP curriculum is a standardized curriculum that measures student learning with a standardized test. And so those two things really collide when you're a school that believes in its faculty and hires specifically people that you actually want with your kids, right? Then it mitigates against saying, but don't use your judgment. Stay on the pacing guide so that they can do beautifully on the test. And my question, I was a head of a high school in New York City, an elite independent high school that transitioned from having APs all over the place to totally letting go of the AP program. Because what happened, among other things, was, what do you do after May 3rd, after that test? That's when our kids were saying, now can we talk about this? And so if you actually believe that the purpose of schooling is to create the conditions where young people can have experiences, and then those experiences can lead them to insights, that takes time. And we are the people who say, we want to give our teachers the space to use their best professional judgment because we trust them. We want our classrooms to be responsive. We want our teachers to have the space to pay attention. It's a very, remember I was telling you about all school and why the room looks like that? These are deeply embedded decisions that turns out educators know. But we have been doing those things, making those moves for 40 years. There's never been an AP program here. And it's not because we're, different just for no reason. These decisions are based on deeply held beliefs about young people and what they deserve. So when we say no APs, we want you to understand that that's not a snap judgment. It's deeply considered educational thinking around trusting teachers and respecting young minds. So that's a little bit of the background. And we would always feel irresponsible if we didn't probe that with you, because
We've gotten kids into Harvard, Yale, Cornell, and bring it on. I mean, we are, the world recognizes Watkinson as an excellent educational place that's preparing our kids. And not only are those kids going to those places and getting in, by the way, beating out kids who have probably 12 AP classes, but they're thriving. So those students are come back. For example, the boy who went from West Hartford, so a student here, went to Yale. He won the freshman award called the Riggs Award, which is the most culturally literate freshman in Yale's class. So that's pretty, that says a lot about Cyrus, is his name. But I think we'll take a little bit of credit on that too. So, yeah, go ahead.
Can you talk a little bit about the partnership with University of Hartford and what that involves with the upper school students? And
Sure. Yeah, so we've long been friendly neighbors with the University of Hartford. Some of their faculty send their kids to Watkinson. But for no extra charge, our seniors, if they're a student in good standing, can take courses next door for just a registration fee. So, and they'll get a transcript, on their transcript they'll get all their Watkinson courses, and there'll be a separate transcript from the University of Hartford. So they get to piece that together and then be able to send that off to their colleges. So we have a few students who have taken maybe more than one class next door in their senior year, and very rarely we have a junior take a class over there, but that's also possible if it's right for them. Also, any Watkinson student can take their ID and use the University of Hartford library. So it's a wonderful resource, huge library, and it's been great for our students to do that. Yeah.
Would that be similar to the ECE program at UConn?
I know some schools that are working that. I think it's similar. It's less formal, right? But we have a great relationship, as I said. So our teachers, our advisors, our college counselor are working with all our juniors and seniors and literally saying, kind of creating a roadmap through their senior year, even as early as 10th grade, to say these are the courses that might be possible for you. And here are the resources about school classes that are available next door. Let's start thinking about what you might want to take, whether it's Calculus 2 or Introduction to Journalism, or maybe they're taking something at the Art School of Music, maybe even. And some of our students are involved in the community division over there. So we have students involved in our small music program here, but also maybe they're doing the Saturday community division next door as well. Yeah. Any other questions? I wanted to just put a plug in for a next step that's possible is to set up for what we call day visits. And there are students, these are available visits for students to come and shadow a student. If you're in 9th grade and you want to go around with the 9th grade, or if you're in 8th grade and you want to go around and see what the high school is like, we can set that up. We have a bunch of tour guides here, like some of the students that were up here are one of, we probably have 40 or 50 tour guides who are waiting and excited to take you around for a day. Lunch is on us, it's great lunch, you'll see. And you really just get to visit and observe classes because, to be honest with you, we don't think anyone else is doing it the way we are, and we want you to see it live. And there's no better way than to actually spend a real day in classes. So there's that.
So I have a daughter who's a senior at St. Joseph's University in Philadelphia, and she came to Watkinson. And I think as a parent, our largest goal is to have our kids grow up to be independent, self-sufficient, confident, with a job. Right? So she came to Watkinson. She was a little apprehensive, and I've listened to a lot of questions. She made friends fast. She enjoyed it. She got good grades. The college process was amazing. Before she came to Watkinson, she had a huge separation anxiety issue with her mom and I. I would have to walk her to class every morning, and it was a huge struggle. She couldn't leave mom and dad. After Watkinson, she chose to go to Philadelphia on her own. None of her classmates went, none of her friends went. She went on her own. She loves it down there. She swears she's never come back to Connecticut. And she called me up the second week in September, and she said, "You're not going to believe what happened." And of course, I said, "You got into a car accident." And she said, "Mom said the same thing." I got a job offer at Chubb. So her major is risk management and insurance. She interned at Chubb in Philadelphia this summer. They call her second week in September and offer her a job when she graduates, and she's definitely going to accept it. She loves it, and she will tell you it's because of Watkinson. It changed her life, and she will tell you it changed her life. So that's my Cinderella story about